Hey guys, Andy N, Spoken Label, back in the house on a Sunday evening, second podcast of the day. Yes, people might have caught from the first one you heard the other day when I released it. I forgot I'd agreed to do this podcast, so I'm just doing my life sometimes. You put things in diaries, when you then sometimes like this fantastic poet that was today, drop me a message saying, "We're still chatting tonight, Andy," and I thought, "Oh fuck." I know, but but I've got a great guy. I mean, I had a chance to research him. We've got the fantastic Trystan Lewis. Now, Tristan's been over at Speakeasy quite a few times recently, and I've seen him at a few other places as well. And me and Amanda love him because it's down to factors. He's travelling all the way up from Morecombe down to come to Speakeasy, and that's what is that about 30 miles each way, Tristan, or even more?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's about an hour.
Yeah, it was a while. It takes you a while to get down there. Certainly so. Now, Justin's what I really like about him is I've been enjoying it this afternoon. As well as a poet, he's also a singer, songwriter. So we're going to talk about both of them today. But Tristan, obviously, before we start then, tell us about yourself as a person. Where did all your creativity come from then? And we'll start from there.
Well, that's a tough one, isn't it? Where does it come
Oh,
from?
nothing like the difficult question to start with.
There is a well from which we steal, isn't there? There's a well from which we steal, um, and we don't know where that is or how we do that, but there's something up there that sometimes you're lucky enough to tap into this thing. It's And there's people who are inspirational as you develop as a become a human being, I suppose, and little things have an influence on you, and you think that's important. It's important to express yourself. It's important somehow to leave a little scratch on the surface of this earth, because you're not here forever, and time's running out, and you've got to leave a scratch. You've got to leave a scratch on the surface of the earth to let someone know you were here, and it's a little bit like that. And I suppose I just have that drive to leave something, produce something. And then there's these people in that you listen to who are these massive creative energies that you think, oh, I like that, and you want to emulate that. And they might be writers, or they might be songwriters, or they might be poets, and be just either exposing yourself to that, or someone is kind enough to say, oh, what about this? Read this, or listen to that. I suppose those little things get in there, get in the hard drive, and make you think, oh, that's where it's at. And I'm grateful to anyone who ever had an influence like that on me, I suppose.
Yeah, did you? I could tell from your writing, your singer songwriting. You've been at this for a while. That's obvious straight away with it. It's not something you started, say, 6 months ago. I can see that. So,
Yeah. Well, yeah, well, yeah, I've been doing a long time. I've been doing a long time. You can tell by the grey on my beard. Been
oh,
doing it
listen,
a
mate,
long
you're only
time.
22,
But
23. So, we're
yeah,
going
cheers, mate. Yeah, me too. Um, but the poetry, this final, well, not final necessarily, but this wave of poetry that I've been getting into now really is in the last year. Um, and so, although I've been writing songs and written a novel and
off
other
you.
things in the past, this current wave of writing, and it's down to people like you actually, Andy,
Mm.
because if you know you've got running an open mic, like there's a Benjamin Guilfoyle who runs the Word
Oh, I
Area,
love him. Love Ben. Love Ben.
absolutely cracking it, and
Yeah.
Andy who runs Verbalize up in Kendal, and you running this, and these other ones for people who need that um, place to read something new, just to find out, is this any good? Does this work? And it's a reason to write every month, write something new. And without those places, well, you're writing in a vacuum, aren't you? And
Yeah.
like some people can do that, fair dues, you can write in a vacuum, you can write for years, and you come out with an absolute cracking piece of work. But sometimes you just want that place to go to read something. And without these events, and God knows, through the pandemic and everything, you guys running that kind of thing, it can't have been easy, man. And
Oh, no. What we did
it's
was
hard. And so,
yeah, we did it over Zoom actually over
yeah,
lockdown
and
because
it's
we
hard.
originally did the night in Stretford, and then
Yeah.
as the bar shut over like beginning lockdown, never reopened. Then basically we went in lockdown for 18 months. That was hard work. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
did you
it
ever
can be
see?
soul destroying because not, you've got to have
Of
people
course.
interested. You've got to get the word out, and you've got to make. And it's a job of work, and the rewards are. Well, I suppose the rewards for you are seeing blossoming creativity because I've been to your events and I've been to the other events, and you just see people who've got something to say and a way of saying it that's original, and that I suppose that's its own reward.
Yeah, that's what
But
it is. It's what it is. 'Cause
that's
that's what
what
we proud
makes it.
ourselves of it.
Yeah,
Because I speak
yeah.
easy. We've had I don't know the last time you read for us. It was probably last month. We had a young lady with two young ladies on there that I know for a fact. I'm not going to name them because they were brilliant, both of them. They hadn't read out anywhere else before. That was their first time ever.
Yeah.
I thought myself,
So in
that's
that's
different.
testimony to the how important it is, and to yourself making a welcoming environment for people to
Yeah.
go to. Brilliant.
That's what we're trying to do. Try and do ourselves, and I think that's a good night, really. Like I said, you're saying like used to what Benjamin's night over at Lancaster in
Oh,
Lancaster.
again,
Yeah,
so
met him. I have met him.
so
Met him.
nurturing,
Yeah, he
and
did that year before lockdown. He did a walking tour. He did,
he did
and
walked. I don't know how far, but around the coast or something.
we got as far as
Woody Hat Poems. Woody Hat.
yeah,
He's called the Woody Hat
yeah,
Poet.
that's the one. He got as far as Prestwich, and at
Yeah.
that time, Amanda was living in Cheetham Hill, not far from there. He did at Prestwich Library, and we went down to meet him. And I told him at the time, we can't put you up, but if you could get in early enough, we'll buy you dinner at the Witherspoons.
Yeah, he's a lovely
That's one.
man.
Great guy. So I know, listen, we'll talk about you, mate, anyway, so that's fine with it. So now I think it's where should we start then? Because what did come first for you? Was it your poems first or your singer-songwriting?
So for me, it was songwriting. Yeah, songwriting. And so ever since I was a youngster, really, I suppose there was some influential musicians down back in the way, and really wanted to be a songwriter. Did a lot of that, and then got a little 4-track, a little Tascam 4-track.
Oh my God,
Absolutely,
yeah. Oh wow.
one of them. You've got your tracks, you can bounce down. I'm sure you've been there. We all have.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, absolute dream ticket to experimenting, and loved it. And then things went digital, didn't they, at some point, and found that all quite difficult. Got a little Boss thing, and then eventually just ended up getting a laptop that could cope with a kind of low key kind of what do you call it, VR, a little studio thing, anyway.
Oh yeah.
Cubase, a basic version of Cubase, something like that.
Oh, blimey, you're
And
taking me back
just
now.
all in there, and then you're away.
My first live band was that Wayne Klein, and we were terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way to about it. I can't sing. Still can't sing now. But I've ended up fronting.
That shouldn't be any barrier to sing it. Just
doesn't. I've ended up fronting about 4 bands. So
yeah,
despite the fact I can't sing. So,
yeah, but I didn't stop you.
Nope. Yeah, but yourself, like I said, that's what you'd been like at the time. You had all the 4-track. Oh, blimey, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, blimey.
I suppose I was a bit naive. I suppose I was naive as coming out of being in my early 20s. I really thought, God, not pretty good. But clearly that didn't happen for whatever reason. Just I mean, I still love. A lot of people say they see progress from the child to the man in their work and all that. I don't see that. I think the things I wrote as a 19-year-old are pretty much just as good as anything I'm writing now. It's just maybe formats changed a little bit. Recently a bit more free and like confident in myself to not have to follow formula, I suppose. But yeah, songwriting is where it started. In fact, songwriting is where it started, even with poetry, because I was at the Morecombe Poetry Festival last year.
Oh, was one last year?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't know that.
It was the first one last year.
Oh, right.
And went down, and there was an open mic, spoken word open mic, and I'd never done anything like that. And there were people going up and it was one where you go round, so you do your poem, and then you join the back of the queue again, and it goes round and goes down. I know, it was like, and I just had all my song lyrics in. I thought, well, I wonder if I could get away with just reading out, or didn't have any words with me, just speak my song lyrics. And so I had to go at that. I thought, I'm getting away with this. I'm just saying my song lyrics without having to play the guitar or check it's in tune or sing. are all those difficult bits. This is all the good bits. This is like just getting these little nuggets of like my soul out there. It's like, this is lovely. And then people were very kind after and said, oh, that was really nice. And I thought, oh man, I've got the biggest buzz out of that than I have for a long time, you know. So I thought, well, maybe I'll have a go at this. And then I started seeing the open mics, the kind of spoken word nights, Ben and yourself and Anne. And I thought, oh, I'll give that a go. And then writing stuff, not songs, but writing poems for this format called spoken word, which I never really thought of before as existing in that way. Great.
Yeah, it's great. People check you out like it's really find your videos like it shows how technical, how much thought you put into it. Because I know I've seen one of your videos the other day that you had you doing a sonnet, for example, and that's not something I have the guts to do very often because they're notoriously tricky things to write at the best of times.
Yeah, just keep going. You know, I don't even, yeah. I mean, because I've not studied English literature and I'm not done a creative language degree or anything like that, you know, I do feel a bit of an imposter, but I'm just putting it out there, you know, trying to mess with form. And, you know, I still use a lot of rhyme, and I know a lot of poets don't like rhyme. But it's just what comes out. And I feel at the moment, because I'm, you know, getting on a bit, I don't care.
That's fine, mate.
This is it. This is how it works. And those restrictions of format, you know, working with certain structures. I really like the way it limits you, and you can't just say anything. You've got to do this and you've got to do that, and making that still say what you want to say. So the format creates something and restricts you, but also frees you. I love all that. I love. That's what it's about. That's why it's not just
agree.
talking.
Like
That's why it's talking. You're in this format called a poem, and it's got a structure, and it does this, and it's not just talking. It's not just shooting your mouth off. It's like, I'm not. This has got some thought in it, and I've structured it for a reason. That's why it's like this, and that's what makes it stronger, because you've honed it down and you've made it how it should be. I don't know.
Agree. What I do like what your work is, and Amanda said this before now, people Amanda, my wife, she loves the honesty that comes from your work. And it's like it's the real, you can feel it with it. There's a heart with it. And I think that's what carries you really well with your work, actually. Like there's usually you made me smile using the imposter syndrome, because I would never call you an imposter in your work. It was like anybody, and you did this last time you read the speakeasy for us and you started the night off. We only ask people to do that if we think they're good enough.
Cheers, mate. Yeah. Put him on first. Yeah.
No, we ask people like to get off. We always like to get off a good, strong start. And you were there, and I thought to myself, I didn't know you'd been performing the gate. You just told us now, and like it is. I thought it didn't show. It really didn't show that. So that's good going.
Well, you see, I feel like for 25 years I've been a school teacher.
Oh.
And I'm not one now, but for 25 years I've stood up in front of sometimes hostile audiences, you know.
Oh God, they're the worst audience, yeah.
So I'm used, in a sense, to talking to people, being that side of the desk, and I suppose to some extent, that's all right. I can do that. I know I can do that. And so yeah, I don't usually I get a bit nervous because it's obviously you don't usually stand up in front of a bunch of kids and put your heart on the line. It's usually about something really boring. But I suppose I'm not as nervous as someone who's not used to standing in front of people, and maybe that gives you a little bit of something, you know, used to.
Yeah. No, that's fair play. No, I get it. It shows straight away with it in that one. So, have you found then over the past year, then since you started doing your poetry regularly, how's your approach to it changed?
I suppose I got more serious about it. At first it was I just felt, well, I'll just see. But I had this thing since the last Morecombe Poetry Festival. I had this thing. I want, by the time the next one comes around, just gone, I want to be up there. I want to be having something. And how do you make that happen? I didn't know how you made that happen. I was like, well, I better start writing. And then due to the kindness of Sarah Dixon, I don't know if you know the Quiet Compare, she's
I know
called.
Sarah. Yeah,
And she had
because
someone
she
drop
grew
out
up
and
in
said,
Cholton, which is the next town.
yeah,
Actually, the town
did
Speak
she?
Easy's in. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. That's good. But she had someone drop out, and she met me at the last festival, and she said, "Oh, Trystan, have you got enough together to do this?" I thought, hey, come on, bring it on. And so, yeah, and that worked out great. And so, I suppose, what did you say? Has my attitude to it changed? I just, this is where I'm putting my focus now. This is where I'm putting my creative focus now, which I suppose it is a change because I've been working on other things for a long time. Songwriting, play the 5-string banjo in a bluegrass band,
Oh,
and
whoa.
that took a lot of time. Yeah, kind of was concentrating on banjo playing and the creativity of like learning tunes and improvising tunes and things like that. And then I spent a lot of time on that. And then before that, I spent a lot of time working on a novel, which I don't know, never got published, but still working on that occasion. And so now it's for me, because I'm in this kind of monthly cycle of going to these events. I want to have something new to read, to try out all the time. And so it's like a real focus. And that's where it is, yeah, I suppose the focus.
Yeah. It's a good focus because I think it's a very, very good discipline to do. Like I said, I know what you mean with that. Like, certainly when I do all the open mics I do, there's not as many as you used to in our best actually for.
Yeah.
But like, I do like to have, certainly every month, have at least one new piece ready.
Yeah.
Two
Yeah.
if I can. And then
Yeah.
if you get longer sets, when you go back and you're revisiting old friends, that have gone down really well with people in the past.
Yes. You've got a greatest hits in your head. Like these are my
Oh God,
greatest
yeah.
hits. I'll
Yeah,
pull
that's
them
for
out, but
sure.
I don't want to just constantly pull out what I think of as my greatest hits. They're easy. But I want to yeah, just try new stuff because that's where I'm at the moment.
No, it's fair play. And it's also like good to see, like obviously that being the case, you're still doing your songs, aren't you, as well? I think probably lesser so than at the moment because
That's
it's
so,
it's
yeah.
hard to switch between two
Yeah.
things like that. I
Getting
know that from
the
experience.
equipment out, yeah, tuning up the guitar. Yeah, it's where you could just sit there with the keyboard and write.
Oh
Sounds like
God,
easy
yeah,
stuff.
it's a lot easier. You don't have to spend half an hour tuning the guitar up, or in my case,
Yeah,
keyboard, certainly getting the mic
yeah.
set up. Now, I have to ask you about Michael. I've been going for your songs before anyway. I know there's about 16 or 17 of them. And
Yeah.
it made me smile where one of your social media posts, I think it was Facebook, he said, they're all on there now. There's only one or two that I think you think are shit. But I'm not going to ask you which ones they are. I'll be respectful.
There's ones that could have been recorded better. There's ones that
I'm not going to ask you. So, come a gentleman. But the one I did really like was Inshore Waters. So
yeah,
now
inshore
you told
waters,
me
yeah.
already off mic that one has been done as a poem. But tell
Yeah,
us about the
that was
story
that
that
was
was a
one I
song.
read. Well, not read, but just spoke at the at that poetry festival. Initially, just because it was fairly new then, and it's based on. Well, I don't know if you're an insomniac, but I am, and so quite
Yeah,
often I hear. I think it's about well, it's about 1 o'clock in the morning. There's the shipping forecast on Radio 4 just before it turns into the World Service, and everyone knows the shipping forecast. It's kind of an iconic soundscape of Britain. But there's a bit of it that I really like called the Inshore Waters, where they go round the coast of Britain, starting at Cape Wrath, Rattray Head, and it goes down and round Cornwall and up the other side, goes a bit of Northern Ireland, then up the north, goes to Scotland to the top, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, and it describes the various weather coordinates, weather variables, and sometimes it's very lovely. And so I just put a little thing about kind of the idea of someone falling asleep listening to that, um, and with other things on their mind, and then put that into a little verse and a little bit of guitar on that, and that was that. Yeah.
works really well. Beautiful. And we have to ask you about your guest vocalist as well. So how did you? And I'm going to have to be really cruel because I can't pronounce the young lady's surname. So how did you meet? How did Daniela get involved in this track?
Danielle Yawowiecka
Yeah.
is just she's a newsreader. She just did the shipping forecast. I've just literally ripped it off Radio 4, got in touch with her to say, is it all right if I use your shipping forecast? And she said, yeah, whatever. I don't know if there's copyright on it, but she was fine with it and said that was like, go ahead.
Oh, well,
Danielle
she put,
Yawowiecka.
all I say to you is, I admire for your goal there, mate. She probably thought you came and thought, oh, well, why not?
Yeah.
No, fair play with that. So I said, start looking at wrapping up. I want to give you a chance to concentrate your poems more in the second half anyway, really. And also, people listen to the audio version, they will hear this song as a bonus as well.
Yeah.
But where would you envisage your creativity taking you next then? Do you have any ideas what you would like to do next then?
Right. So just well. So when I get an idea for a poem, what I do, I use Microsoft Word, and then I just write the idea down and save it. And I've got like a monthly file. Every month I make a new file folder, I think they're called, and save it. And then some of them don't get written and some of them do. But then if I've got this idea, so I had this, I don't know, there's so I always have these, sometimes a title or just a line, and I save it as a separate Word document and put that in there. And then kind of go back to it. So at the moment, there's like three or four like Word files, and they've got like this nugget of an idea. One of them, for example, is this questionnaire. I don't know if you're familiar with questionnaire 9. You know questionnaire 9? Personal health questionnaire 9. And it's the questionnaire that you get asked when someone's, as a medical person, asking you about your mental health. And it says, in the last 2 weeks, how often would you say you've been worried about this, or how often has you had this? And there's some, and all the answers are not at all. Some days, more than half the days, every day. And you've got these choices, and there's something poetic about the rhythm of it when in there, and that kind of fascinated me. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but I really like that one. I've got another one, which was just a line from a novel I was reading, and the line is, "That's just another way of letting him win." Just another way of letting him win. And it was about someone who'd been mistreated, a woman who'd been mistreated by a man, and she was smoking, and thereby negating herself by smoking, and because the smoking was a way of her negating her own life because it's a negative, thing to do because it's bad for your health, and she was doing that. And someone had this line, "It's just another way of letting him win," which was self-negation. And I thought, I like that. There's something really powerful in there. That line of that. So there's something I want to do with that. So things like that, and I collect them, and I just plug away and try and make something that, just the idea of just through your words, just through your spoken word and communication, infect another person. And that's all I want to do. I did this, as I say, I did this lovely little session with a little set with the Quiet Compare at the Morecombe Festival. There's one of my poems, a really, really quite emotional poem. It says, "Don't tell Dad," and I get emotional reading it. I get emotional reading it, and it's a work of fiction. My dad's alive and well. It doesn't, and there's various scenarios in it of "Don't tell Dad," which is, but it's strong. It's a strong. And then there were people crying, and I was
you made me weep
I was
once you
right
said
out
that.
there, and having that effect on people, just getting the just not in order to emotionally manipulate people, but in order to say, here's an image for you. This is a powerful image. This is out there. Let's talk about it. That's what my aim is, and to try and get a collection of work that affects people in some way and allows them to get in touch with emotion, help them to understand what those emotions are, I suppose.
Yeah, you're definitely going to get there right straight away because it's your works. You've got the rhythm going. You're working on it, and every time I see you with it, the voice is there and it's very, very clear. So no, good luck, man. Definitely with it. So okay, if you want people to find out more about you, first of all, where do you recommend they go?
Just Facebook, really. First of all, Facebook. Trystan Lewis. Trystan spelled with a Y. I'm sure you're able to put a link on. I don't know how you do that, but
Yeah, the links will be on the write up. There's guaranteed that one.
there is a Spotify site. I think it's just called Trystan Lewis as well. Again, TRYSTN.
It is, yeah. You have to get me to sign up to actually use Spotify today because I don't use it.
Right. I think you can get a free account.
Yeah, that's what I did. So.
Yeah, I don't know. And then there's also on Spotify, there's the Clougha Mountain Bluegrass Band. That's Clougha, spelled Clougha, Clougha, which is the hill just above Lancaster. And that's the bluegrass band that I've been in for a long time.
Right, I was wondering whether that was you because when I was going into Spotify before and I spotted that name called, and I played it back and I thought, I like this. So
yeah,
I didn't know that was you actually.
We call it Northern Roughhouse Bluegrass, kind of rough at the edges. We managed to make an album literally the week before lockdown called Wolves, the Wolves of Clougha Mountain. It's just called Wolves, the album. And I'd recommend, if you want to understand where I'm coming from, there's that music is nice. Stupid, but it's nice.
Oh, it's nice. It's got an energy behind it.
Yeah,
I did play something back when the name drew me before. I didn't realize. I saw a Trystan Lewis listed of it, and I thought,
right,
the same one. And I thought, well, that's why I know it's got great energy, definitely. So well worth. I agree with you. Well worth checking out that one straight away. So, people obviously would know as well. Your songs are actually, I know they're on YouTube as well. I've seen them on there.
Yeah. I think that when you have to go through some intermediaries to log things, and it says where do you want to put them up, and I think it says, oh, I'll just put them.
Yeah.
So they are on YouTube. They're probably on other things as well, but I don't really have much of an input on that. I mean, they're all on. They're distributed.
Yeah, it's distributed. So podcasting.
Music, they're probably on that.
Yeah, you also got as well a Trystan Lewis songs page on Facebook as well.
That's another Facebook thing. When I was trying to promote the songs, don't use it so much now just because I'm more into this and that seems to have taken off. So, but yeah, it's there as well. Trystan Lewis songs.
All worth signing up for, definitely. So, right, we'll wrap up part one here, mate. I want to give you plenty of time for your poetry. So, I've really enjoyed this today and I'm looking forward to part two. We will see you all in a few minutes.
You're a pro.